What's going on, everyone? So one of the guys I really wanted the Lakers to try to acquire this past trade deadline was Ayo Dosunmu, right? He is a 6'5", versatile guard that can play, the two, play the three, right? But he is athletic, can defend, can hit shots, create for himself, create for others, right? He's 25 years old. He is a guy that I think would make a ton of sense slotted alongside Luka, right? What are things that the Lakers need outside of the center position, obviously, right? Lakers definitely need a center, but they need athleticism, they need hustle, they need dirty work guys, they need guys that can shoot, they need guys that can, keep plays alive, maybe some self creation, right? And Ayo is a guy that I think could really provide that for you. Again, a guy that gives you, 6'5", 200 pounds, right? But he's also a guy that's cheap. He's only $7 million or $7.5 million next year, right? Then he's going to get in a contract. Also, Chicago has like an abundance of guards, right? Like they have more guards than they know what to do with. And yes, Ayo can essentially play, point through three because of his size. You have, again, they have plenty of perimeter guys. At some point, they're going to have to start making some decisions, right? I don't think Chicago's just going to give Ayo away, but if you can work something out to where maybe you can acquire him, maybe you get, I wouldn't mind trading. I know a lot of people are kind of on the fence of trading Dalton Connect or not trading Dalton Connect. If you could turn Dalton Connect into Ayo, I would do that immediately. Ayo's only a year older. On top of being a year older, again, same type of athlete, but gives you better defense, gives you some shooting, gives you some playmaking, gives you a little bit of everything that you need from a basketball standpoint, right? And I think makes a lot more sense slotted in at the 2 spot alongside Luka. Now, if the Lakers were to keep Austin Reeves, I would still probably bring Reeves off the bench and have Ayo be your starter. Because, again, it gives you that defense and athleticism and point of attack, and a guy that can just, again, defend multiple positions, defend the opposing guards, which you look at the Western Conference, and it's flushed with guards, right? Like, you need guys that can defend that. And Luka's not doing that, so you look next to him, and it's like, okay, well, who's next? Okay, well, Austin Reeves, he's as bad as Luka is. Okay, well, you look at Rui, it's like, he has no athlete. Like, that's the problem. Lakers have no athletes, particularly out on the perimeter. They have no guys that they can trust to defend out on the perimeter. Bring in a guy like Ayo, he's a guy that could do that. Whether you keep Reeves or trade Reeves, he'd also make it easier to trade Reeves, in my opinion, because now you could have a guy, right? Lakers, what was the big thing that everyone was like? We really need and should have kept Max Christie. Max Christie would have been ideal for the Lakers, right? Max Christie was a guy that we should have kept, and we didn't, right? A lot of people, even people that loved Reeves, were like, hey, you know what? They probably should have traded Reeves over Max Christie because, again, it's a better fit. It's a better need. And I think Ayo is a guy that gives you some of that, right? He gives you the athleticism. He gives you the defense, right? Max Christie is a better 3-and-D guy, right? And just that role of 3-and-D guy, where Ayo, yes, he can play 3-and-D and play off ball as he's played, alongside several other guards on Chicago, right? But, like Josh Giddey and Lonzo Ball and stuff like that, to give the examples. But, he is a guy that is really good at self-creation. He can create for himself, create a little bit for others, right? He's a guy that can score the basketball, be a 3-level scorer. And I think there's a lot of room for him to continue to grow and develop, right? One, again, he's young. But two, he's a guy that's like kind of always played, 5th, 6th, 7th fiddle on Chicago. Right? He's a guy that, he's had to play behind DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine and Lonzo Ball and then, Josh Giddey and then all these other guys, right? Like he's always Kobe White, right? Like all these guys. He's always just kind of been the 7th guard, and he's still giving you production, right? So, again, looking at this last season, he played in 46 games, 26 games started. Now, before this past season, he played in 77 games, 80 games, and 76 games. So is this kind of an outlier year with the injury, or is this something where, hey, he'll be fine, right? But 30.3 minutes per game. He shot 50% from the floor. He is a career 50% from the field guy. This past season, he shot terrible from 3 on 32.8%. But in last year, in which he played 76 games, he shot 40.3% on 3.9 attempts, so 4 attempts per game. Where last year he shot 4 attempts and shot 32.8%. So What does he look like on a full season? I don't even necessarily need him to be 40% from three-point range. Can he just be 37, 38%? If he can do that, play defense, be a point of attack, create for himself, create for others, do multiple things out there on the basketball court, beautiful. That's all I need, right? I don't necessarily need him to be, lights out. Obviously, it'd be great if he could be 40% from three-point range, but not something I think is like make or break. But he's a career, for those that are wondering, he's a career 36% three-point shooter, right? His rookie season on 2.4 attempts, 37.6%. So he's a guy that right now is career 36%, right? If he can be alongside Luka and LeBron and getting the opportunities and wide open looks a game, can he be a 37, 38% three-point shooter? Well, again, that's only 1 or 2 more percents higher than what he's averaging for his career. And the looks that he's going to get are going to be literally wide open, right? Like, again, that was something that Dorian Finney-Smith even talked about, where he was like, dude, like, we had to have, like, the role guys had to have a meeting because we were like, dude, we are so wide open. It's insane. But I digress. Getting back, 2-point range on 5.7 attempts, shot 61.2%. He has a career from 2-point range, 58.7% on 5 attempts. So it's not like this small sample size where he just had, no, he's really good as a finisher, operating, knocking down in the mid-range, 56.1% EFG. Free throw shooting was 78.5%. He is a career 77%. And the last 2 years, he was over 80%. Rebounding, 3.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, a steal, half a block, and 12.13 points per game. So this is a guy that gives you a steal, half a block per game. He's basically a 12, 4, and 4 guy as off the bench and as like the 5th option, right? Like the guy is fine, right? Like him in a role with the Lakers, I think he could be a 15, 4, and 4 guy, right? Which I don't think it's crazy, but also give you the defense, right? Austin Reeves, I love Austin Reeves, gave you, what was it, 20, I think it was 25 and 6, right? 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. That's great, right? But he doesn't give you the defense. Yeah, he's scoring 20, but he's giving up 22, right? Where Ayo, if he gives you a 15, 4, and 4, but he can also, keep the difference from the opposing team scoring 20, that would help as well also. So I just look at that and go, like, I think it really helped. Now, looking at his per 36, again, doesn't tell you everything, but, basically it'll up his minutes, like if he was a full-time starter, right? This past season, he'd be 15 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, half a block per game. If you look at last year in which he played a full season, he would have been 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, and nearly a full block per game. So again, good defensive guard, right? Has athleticism, cheap contract, checks off all the boxes that the Lakers need, right? Can play point guard off the bench if you need to in a stint, in a pinch, right? Just like Reeves can give you defense and defend basically 1 through 3 because he's got good size, good strength, good athleticism, right? He's a guy that would be ideal. Right? These are the kind of guys that the Lakers are going to need to find. Lakers need to find those diamonds in the rough. Lakers need to find those guys that, that are cheap, undervalued, are not kind of one of the main guys, right? That, not saying that he's going to come and be a main guy for the Lakers, but a guy that can come in and just be a quality rotation piece, maybe even a starting level guy who's young enough to be part of the organization alongside. Like, again, you'd have 26-year-old Luka, 25-year-old Ayo, right, as your backcourt for the next 8 years. Both guys can play make, both guys can shoot, both guys can do a little bit of everything, except for one can play defense and be your point of attack, right? Like, that's what you need. And then go trade for like a Herb Jones or something like that. Boom, now we're in business, right? Go get like an Ayo, a Herb Jones, LeBron James, and then go get that center in like a Daniel Gafford or something like that. Boom, now we're in business. Now the Lakers are talking, right? So, these are the kind of moves that the Lakers are going to have to consider and try to find because they're very limited. They don't have a ton of, cap space. They don't really have any cap space, right? Like they don't have, they have assets, but it's all pick swaps and expiring contracts, right? So you need to find teams that are willing to take on things and take risks and, maybe have a guy that like, hey, we have too much of an abundance on. That's why I've talked about like Houston being a destination, right? Because they have like 40 wings, right? Like, you know what? The Lakers don't have any. right? So it's like, can you go get a guy or two from there? Can you get an Ayo from Chicago, right? Like all of a sudden you start piecing together 3, 4, 5 guys, right? That are on reasonable contracts, that are cheap, right? Like that's what the Lakers need to find. They can't, like, I've seen people talk about like Andrew Wiggins. It's like, yeah, Andrew Wiggins would be great, but he's making $28 million. It's like, you're going to get him and then that's basically it. Where you can go get an Ayo and then go get 2, 3, 4 other guys and really put you in a better position. That's what I want to see the Lakers do. So guys like Ayo are the kind of guys that you want to keep an eye on, are the kind of guys that I hope that the Lakers are at least considering and looking at to potentially trade to bring in, because those are the kind of guys that can be difference makers, that can fill in the roles and the gaps that we really need from a team standpoint. He's a guy that can go get you 30 on a random night. He's a guy that can take over and win games, that can play make for himself, play make for others. You need those guys. But let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. You agree with me, disagree with me, kind of mixed in the middle. How do you feel either way? I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.